All right, let's talk to Eliot. James, I was just in a tough spot. This cute kid. How old are you, my man? 9, 10? What are you? 7. Get over here.
That's my daughter's age, Joe.
He wanted an autograph from Tom Kelly.
How about this? An autograph from Joe.
Hold on. Thank you, my man. Let me get the pen.
Let me get the pen. Autograph.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you. All right, we're going to give this. And what's your name, my man? What is it? Johnny? All right, John? All right. And you spell it right, unlike Richie. You spell it John? Okay, good. All right, John, I'm going to get you an autograph right now while we also welcome Eliot Shorr-Parks to the show. Eliot, good morning, pal. How are you?
Man, this is really a career highlight for me, getting to be on the radio while you sign an autograph. It's extremely exhilarating.
Now,
it really is, yes.
Eliot, let me ask you this. And, John, I'm going to ask you the same. Should I sign this over John Ritchie's face? Like, what's the proper – because he's got a photo here of Rhea, Richie, me, and Seltzer. Where do I put this?
I think you got to write the hammer right over Richie's face is probably the move.
All right. I'm going to put the hammer, John, just so you know, right over Richie's face. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an arrow to me and say, "Go Birds." All right.
There you go.
John, here you go, buddy. Go Birds, John. I need a Go Birds from you. Go Birds. All right, well done. All right, there you go. As we broadcast from Borgata, you never know what we're going to get. Let me get you guys your pen back here, by the way. All right, Eliot, let me ask that
was magical radio right there.
Very cute.
Our other Twitter poll question. Who's going to be the Eagles' number 2 quarterback week 1, Andy Dalton or Tanner McKee?
So I think it's going to be Tanner McKee. Look, I think how they've handled the situation has been one of the crazier things I've seen this team do. Normally, when they do something, we can disagree, but you at least see the logic in it. I just haven't understood this the whole way. So I do expect both to play tonight. We'll see who starts. I think it'll probably be Tanner McKee, which will just be the latest in the line of like what's going on with the handling of the situation. But at the end of the day, if they feel both are mostly even, I think Tanner does hold more value around the league, and I think you can cut Dalton without too much risk of him going elsewhere. So maybe you cut Dalton, sign him to the practice squad. You still have both available, and maybe we're lucky enough they can drag this all the way up until kickoff.
So, Eliot, I thought this has been a ruse the whole time. McKee's definitely going to be the 2. Let me lay out another belief. I could be wrong. I want to be clear. I could be wrong, but I believe there's a better chance that Andy Dalton is cut than is the number 2 quarterback. Meaning they want to trade him. If they don't trade him, I think there's a better chance he is cut so they can keep Cole Payton than Andy Dalton is the 2. Agree or disagree?
So I agree. I mean, I don't think – so they're not going to cut Cole Payton. Cole Payton's definitely making the roster. But I think what you could see happen is Andy Dalton gets cut, placed on the practice squad. Like maybe they trade McKee and then you just promote Andy Dalton to being the backup quarterback for the first 3 weeks and, figure it out from there. So if Andy Dalton's cut over these next few days, I wouldn't, rule that out as, okay, well, he's not the backup. He doesn't go through waivers, so you can sign him to the practice squad and then just elevate him for the first game of the season to be the backup.
All right, Eliot, let's get to the Sean Mannion thing as it relates to tonight. I said earlier, in all likelihood, wherever he stands or sits tonight is where he'll probably be for week 1 and for the season. One game he was on the sidelines. One game he was in the booth. I want to play some audio of Nick Foles earlier this week on his podcast talking about where he would be if he were Sean Mannion. Let's listen to Foles.
I would 100% in his situation, I would be in the booth to start my career as a play caller because you get to see everything. You can have your tablet there so you can review the plays, make your notes, and you can still call down and talk to the quarterback, or the quarterback can take the headset from their coach and talk to you. You can still do that, but it takes a lot of the emotion out from the sideline.
All right, so it takes emotion out also, though. So emotion sometimes can be good, but emotion can be really bad, if guys are fired up and it's just you're wasting time on the wrong stuff. Eliot, do you have any indication which it will be for the season?
No, they've done a good job keeping that under wraps. But I do agree with you that wherever he is tonight, you would think is the leader in the clubhouse for week 1. And yeah, I agree with Nick Foles there. I think that any NFL sideline is an emotional sideline, right? And so I think being up in the booth, you can probably, it's calm, it's quiet, you can, collect your thoughts better. I think would be better for Sean Mannion in his first year. Now, he has traditionally been down on the sideline. He was on the sideline last year in Green Bay. So, he could feel more comfort there. But I think, he seemed to really enjoy his experience in the booth. But, yeah, I think tonight will be the tell as to where he's going to be.
Eliot, Makai Lemon missed most of camp, missed the first 2 preseason games, came back this week. When you look at him going into tonight, do you think he will play and do you think he should play?
So I think he will play. I think everyone that watches tonight will get to see him for the first time in an Eagles uniform. But I wouldn't play him. I just don't think the risk is worth the reward here. This is somebody that's already dealt with a hamstring injury twice. I understand, some benefit of him, going through warm-ups, getting out on the field, taking a few snaps. But he's not even playing with players that he'll play with in season. Devontae's not going to be out there. Jalen's not going to be out there. They're not going to be running plays, presumably, that they're going to run in week 1. And when it comes to Makai specifically, it feels like there's going to be a very specific group of plays for him, like to get him the ball. I think they're going to manufacture touches for him. So if he's not even running those plays tonight, I just don't think the risk is worth it. There's a reason they don't play important players in the preseason. Makai is presumably an important player for them heading into the year. So I think you'll probably see him out there for 5 or 6 snaps, but I don't think it's worth it.
Ellie, let's talk about potential cuts and notable names. Every so often there's a surprise cut. I remember when Trotter, I think, was in preseason 07, maybe just training camp, or maybe that was the offseason, but 07 they cut him. John Ritchie in 05. There have been many others where it's just like, you know what, they're moving on. Do you have anyone of that ilk that's been a classic Eagle, so to speak? I don't want classic, but like a notable Eagle. And if not, just who do you think is the most notable name or names that might get cut in the next couple of days?
So the highest profile name I could see potentially being released is Fred Johnson. And I'm not saying, that's the highest of profile names, but he started the playoff game for him last year. He's been their top backup offensive lineman for really the last 2 years. And I think with Markel Bell playing as well as he has, now Bell is dealing with a leg injury. I don't know the severity of that. If that's something where he doesn't, they think he could miss a week or 2, then maybe they do keep Fred Johnson. But, I hate to keep going back to the practice squad, but it's just such an important part of these next few days. And with the changes to the practice squad rules being allowed to put veterans on there, it has hurt the veterans in that way. Like Fred Johnson 10 years ago, I think would definitely be on the roster. Like you would keep a guy like that. But now if you want to keep another young player, you can cut Fred Johnson and just sign him to the practice squad and pay him roughly the same amount of money. And, you can elevate him if you need him. So to your point about a high profile cut, I don't know if this team's in a position right now to cut any of their high profile guys. A lot of their high profile.
But Elliot, to be clear, Fred Johnson's cut, another team can swoop in there and get him if they want him, right?
If he agrees to go there.
Right.
Yeah. So, right. But I think if you're Fred, look, and that's the risk, right? Like this is where Howie has to have a good relationship with Fred, the agent, talk things through and see. I mean, Fred's left Philly before. It didn't go well for him. And, he was so excited to come back. He drove from Jacksonville the night the trade happened. So, I do think he is someone that would be open to staying here. But it's the same thing with Andy Dalton. Like, Andy Dalton has spent all offseason here. He's learned this offense. Presumably his family has moved here. Is he really going to, move again? The Eagles have an advantage in that way over some of these veterans. If they've already spent all the offseason here, it's much easier just to stay than it is to uproot your life for the same amount of money for a different team.
Elliot, inside linebacker is such an interesting position. Vic Fangio said he thinks it's the deepest on the defense. Say the Eagles get calls on Jeremiah Trotter Jr. next week, and they have a team that could match up where they could get an upgraded safety or a second tight end, something like that. Do you think they would consider trading Jeremiah Trotter Jr.?
So I think, for any player, the right price could get it done, but I don't think they're going to field serious offers on Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I just think if you look at Jahad Campbell and his shoulder issues he's had, you don't know if he's going to be able to stay healthy through the year. They really like Jeremiah Trotter Jr. He's played really well. He's played really well when he's been out there in the preseason. He is someone that's been in the offense for a few years, the defense for a few years. So Vic Fangio talks a lot about how much better he is now because of the experience in the defense. But the other thing to take into account, and I know this isn't a 2026 thing, but it is worth noting as they make these decisions, like Zach Bond's future is probably up in the air after this season. So if they think Campbell could move to the Bond spot and Trotter could step in as a starter, then you don't want to trade him. So if a team called and offered like a second or a third, I think that's certainly something they would think about. But I don't think, for what they would likely get in an offer, it's worth losing Trotter.
Pizza Hammer coming up in 5 minutes. Let's give you the contest line right now. We'll take the fifth caller and contest line on the fifth caller in the contest line for Pizza Hammer in 5 minutes. Phone number 445-544-8300. Once again, it's a funky number, but here we go. Put it in your phone so you got it for all times. 445-544-8300. Caller 5. You'll compete in about 5 minutes. Eliot, final thing. A bunch of these guys aren't going to play tonight because guys that are going to make the team, a lot of them aren't going to play. But let's talk about safeties and one cornerback. I want to play some audio of Fangio. This is about Marcus Epps, Michael Carter, and Tariq Woolen. I want to get your assessment of how good Tariq Woolen is and what happens at safety. Let's listen to Fangio a couple days ago.
This battle at safety with Epps and Carter, any closer to...
No, it's close. It is close. Michael has been doing a good job back there. It's just all new to him. And we need to get him more exposure, which is hard to do. But I do think Michael eventually can do it.
Now that we're at the end of camp, how would you assess Reek's summer?
Overall, good. He's had his moments where he can get a little sloppy. We need to eliminate those. And hopefully once the regular season starts, that will happen. But we like him. I like him a lot. I like the player. I like the person. I like being around him, and I like coaching him.
All right, so, Eliot, it sounds pretty clear like Epps is going to be the starter at safety. How good is Tariq Woolen?
I think Tariq Woolen can be very good, and I think that's what you hear Vic Fangio talk about. And really my main takeaway from hearing Fangio talk about Woolen, and I know this is what he said, but it's just very clear, he really likes him. I don't often hear Vic Fangio say things like, I like the person, I love to coach him, those type of things, right? So I think, from my time around Tariq Woolen, you could see why. I think he's going to be a really positive influence on that locker room as a personality. Now, the other part that he mentions in there is the sloppiness, and that is why he got the money he did this offseason and not a long-term deal, because you watch him physically, and he can do it all, right? He has 3 interceptions in training camp. He's taken 2 of those back for touchdowns. He can be a really big impact player, but it's about the consistency. So seems Fangio is very committed to coaching this guy up, getting the best out of him, and you have to wonder, after spending a full year with him this upcoming season, coaching him up, getting to him to the best of his abilities, how Fangio is going to feel if he walks out of the door as a free agent. So, I heard that and thought maybe they will keep him beyond this year.
Interesting. Eliot, stay well. We'll talk to you a bunch next week. Enjoy tonight's game. Thanks, pal.
Yep, sounds good, man. Talk to you later.
All right, Eliot Shorr-Parks.